What makes a game good? What makes any game good? A number of people will answer different things for you. And most people are probably going to say something along the lines of whatever game you're going to have fun with your friends. But that can be anything. And that's kind of a cop-out. So I really don't want to go with that. So because it's subjective, and we all know it's subjective, anybody can like any game and be totally wrong about it. They can be totally wrong about it and they love it and you can't argue with that. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I like in a game. What I enjoy playing. The kinds of games you see here spread out before me, these are the kinds of games I enjoy. Games like Coup, games like Tsuro, games like Avalon, Kingmaker, all kinds of games. I like games like Risk. The point of games for me, or not the point, but let's just say games I like, tend to have strategy. There are things that you can do that alter the course of outcomes and whatever, which is why I railed so hard against the ungames that I was talking about so hard. You have to have some sort of choice. You have to know kind of what you're doing. But there's an element of uncertainty that's required. You kind of need to have some sort of something beyond your control. If everything's in your control, that's just a game of chess. It's not entirely the same thing. It's like you can technically say that the other person, the other player is beyond your control, which is true. But there are certain things in chess that make it to the point where you can predict what people are going to do, as many chess masters can attest to. So the games that I'm talking about don't have the uncertainty in just the players for the most part. It depends on what cards are drawn, what tiles are drawn, what happens within the game, what the dice roll is. Risk is pretty much all dice rolls, but you have to choose where to go. You're having to follow down a strategic path, but there's never going to be only clear paths before you. Everything's shrouded in mystery. Those always make the best games, bar none. Now, keeping in mind, I like a lot of bluffing as well. I like a lot of lying. I don't know if this is going to come out before or after the Rick and Morty video, but let me tell you, I love this game. It's a blast. It's got a whole lot of uncertainty to it, as well as a whole lot of bluffing, and it's a whole lot of fun.
Because he didn't shoot me!
Oh, right?
Whoa!
He didn't shoot me!
He knew that you were a Paris. Oh!
Damn, I did not think of that.
I like complicated games as well. Games in which it's kind of hard to read the land of everything. Not to say that I don't like simple games. I mean, hell, Tsuro is as bad as simple as you can get. You know, you pick up tiles, you go along with your dragons, and you follow along the paths, and you try to get everybody dead except you. Simple. But I also really like this game, Kingmaker, and none of these guys will play it with me. This game has been a favorite of mine for a long time because there's so many different things that can happen to you, and there's so many different ways that it can play out. It's a long game, and there is a lot involved in it. You end up owning cities. It's a real map of medieval, England, and there's no dice rolls, but there are a whole lot of cards flipped, and things may happen that you just can't predict, and you're trying to just grab a noble and hold on to it for dear life, and then at some point you're holding on to it, and then the plague hits the city and everybody dies, everybody you own. But no matter what, you're still in the game. You can always pick up another card and then you're back in. And that's why I like most of these games that aren't some sort of elimination. Sometimes they can be, but it's like Tsuro eliminates it, but it's a fast game, so whatever, it doesn't matter. The reason why I say this is because so many games are actually trying to force you down into something where there's very little certainty. Or there's very little uncertainty is what I mean. And in my mind, if you can predict what is going to happen in a game, and if there comes a point in the game where you've got like 10 turns left to go, and you're pretty dead certain you know how it's going to go, that's a bad game. And, you know, some of the games that I really like kind of have this problem sometimes. Hell, Betrayal at House on the Hill could have it that the main villain is going to end up dead, and everybody knows it because he messed up during the initial section of play. It happens sometimes. But I still like the game because there's that element of uncertainty. But it's not perfect, and I recognize its faults. Suro is incredibly simple. You're going to get bored of it. Kingmaker is incredibly complicated, and most people don't have the patience for it, i.e. everybody but me. And Avalon ruins friendships, I'm going to be honest. So do a lot of these games, but a lot of them are far more forgiving. Avalon tells you everyone you know and love can lie to you. Which is funny. The other thing is cooperative games. Look, I don't think cooperative games are terrible. But I do think that there is an element to them that's just missing from competition games. A victory in a cooperative game means not nearly as much as a victory in one of these other games. There's very little at stake because if you lose, everybody loses. If you win, everybody wins. There's nothing that's going on. There's nothing there. It doesn't feel as big. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not as fulfilling as knowing that you've overcome everyone else at the table, and as well as the game itself. And that's what makes it a real competition that is fulfilling in a strange way. But I don't know. Cooperative games kind of always felt to me like the whole everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a win. It's like I'll do it because everybody's having fun. And some with really difficult competition, cooperative games, it can be interesting because you're trying to beat the developers and they are trying to kill you. So it's kind of fun. But I'd much rather play any of the competition games. Anyway, those are the kinds of games that I like and why I like them, and that's pretty much all I got to say on the matter. This has been Off the Rails with Sean. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe.